Hello there Voltage Modular people, PoohBear here and welcome to my channel. And today we're going to be looking at the base part to my Hybrid Generative project. I'm not going to be spending too much time on the sound design. I'm going to quickly knock something up. I'm more interested in what we do with the flip-flop counters and how we can actually play around with the sound once we've actually got it going. Very quickly, I'm just going to grab, I love a Sawtooth. In fact, I always love two Sawtooths. And one thing I love about a Sawtooth, let me just quickly wire this up to my amp, and I'm going to wire my amp up to my little mixer I've got here. Just turn it up a little bit so we can hear it. I'm going to bring the feet down. Sounds a weird way of saying it, but I'm going to go down to 32 foot there, both of them, make it nice and deep. And obviously it's play around with the frequencies. To me, this is like a built-in effects unit. So I'm just going to spray them out just a small amount, just so we've got that little bit of movement going on with them. Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to underpin that with a triangle. And I am actually going to leave that on 8 foot there. I'm just going to bring it down, just so we can subtly hear it. So there it is, that little tone. Just bring it down, so I can subtly hear that. That's fantastic. So let's go from obviously my little mixer here. I'm going to go into now to a filter. The filter, obviously, I'm going to go into my amp. We can hear that rumbling away. And I'm just going to turn that down a second. And now we're going to bring in the envelope as well. In fact, I'm going to leave the envelope out just for a second. I'm just going to tune this in a little bit, the filter. Okay. Now I'm going to bring myself my envelope in, and I'm going to take the sustain right down to start with as well as I'm playing around with this, mainly because I know eventually I'm going to link this up to something which is running quite quickly, so the decay and the release have quite an effect, and the sustain is something which I play around with afterwards. When I say play around with afterwards, it's because obviously with my storing forward we can play around with the gate length, and that does actually have quite a nice effect overall on the sound. And the only other thing I need is just a little bit of pitch, so I've got myself a little keyboard off to one side. Then I can bring it down to the top. There it is. I'm not going to be doing too much anything clever with it. In fact, I've dialed everything in quite nicely and quite quickly. So I've got 275 milliseconds there, 294 there, and I'm just going to turn up the sustain now. Believe it or not, I'm quite happy with the way that's sounding. So this is where the fun really starts, and let's actually bring in the other devices. First thing I'm going to do is just wire up my storing forward. So let's have a quick look. That's the pitch. Let's grab the pitch down. That's the gate coming in. That's the gate down. And all you're going to do is just hit any key on the keyboard. Doesn't matter which. I just want an input into this. The second thing I'm going to grab, and I haven't got it up, sorry to say, is a gator. So I'm going to quickly grab myself a gator. There we go. So I'm going to take my gate out, put that in, put the link on, just come up with something, it doesn't matter what, and then I'm just going to take the out and put that into the gate in. I'm going to put it to 16ths or something to start with. Might give it a little bit of a swing. I've just plugged my keyboard back in. fun. Right, so we've already got ourselves a nice little bit of movement. So let's actually add something a little bit more interesting, which is going on to this. So I'm just going to move that DC source over there, just give myself a bit of room on the screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to affect the input. Here's the input, so I'm going to take, my pitch, sorry, this is my pitch. So I'm taking my pitch in, and I'm just going to take that X back out to the pitch. So we've got ourselves, so in flip mode, it's just doing a simple loop round. In fact, I could have left that over there, to be perfectly honest with you. But I might end up doing things later on, so that's why I wire it up this way. I'm now going to take the DC source and put that into B, and I'm going to put that to 1 volt. I might go to -1 volt. And the reason I'm doing a volt is because I want to go jump an octave. And it's just going to be quicker to double click on it and just put a 1 in. There we go. Or a -1 will jump it down an octave. So the big difference is when this is on flop, I also want this A to be going out X because it's the same signal, hence why I said I could plug it straight in there. And on this one, when this goes into flop, I want it to then be summed together, and that's going to go out of X. And we need a way to trigger this. Now at the moment, if I was to trigger this from this device here, so this device is now going to trigger this device, it's going to, and depending on your threshold and depending on your other settings as well, so if I put that on a square, it's going to flip-flop between whatever my input is, and it's going to go up an octave and back again. So let's start that off. So that's it sounds so different straight away when you think about it. That is definitely like an 80s kind of theme going on there. But obviously you can have a lot more fun if we take a copy of this gator and you start to play around with your patterns, which is going to affect, you know, the flip-flop counter itself. So as I said, that's doing what it was doing. We could say to it, well, actually, let's be boring, and we're going to do the first part of the pattern in the lower octave, and then we're going to move to the higher octave, say, for instance. You can really hear it. And obviously we can come along and we can play with everything left, right and center to make it sound so much different. So if you had, say, all of them going, it's going to sound a bit different again, because we've obviously got spaces within this gator, so we're not actually playing a note. So I'm going to leave that with you to play around with, because obviously, as I say, you can have a lot of fun coming up with all these different kind of patterns of what you're doing here. So we're going to actually move on and do something else a little bit different. I'm going to take a copy of this flip-flop counter, just put that over here, and I'm going to take a output from the DC source. We're going to put that into A, and then from X we're going to go put it into our pan, and then we're going to pan this, obviously give that a certain amount, and obviously turn this up. So this time though, because obviously because I made a copy, I've got to remember that X needs to be off. So let's turn that into the off position as well. And off, so everything's off. So it should just zero out. So when it's in the flip, it's going to be one way. When it's in the flop, it's going to be the other. And now he's got to trigger it. So for the moment, I'm actually going to put that into the original gator, and I'm going to also take that one and put that into the original gator. So what should actually be happening now is, theoretically, when this flip-flops, or when this flip-flops as well, so this is going from my normal pitch into an octave higher, it's also going to flip-flop from panning left to panning right. So let's actually really make this a hard pan in, right? So it's something that we can hear quite clearly. That's what I'm preferring. Definitely got to go higher, that one, isn't it? Now, there is actually, if we slow that down, and let's do that again. It's very, very subtle, but you can hear there's actually just a slight click. There's a slight pop. Obviously, it's when it's shifting it, the hard pan from one to the other, the way it's cutting the sound and all the rest of it. It's very subtle, but it's there. And there's a very easy way we can actually resolve that. And that's going to be very, very simply, where do they have it? And I'm going to pull myself out a glide, a simple glide. Let's go and quickly have a quick look at that. The library, glide. Oh look, glide. Let's grab a glide out. So X is going to go to the output of the glide, and then obviously I'm going to take X and put that into the input of the glide itself. So when we're listening to that again, just by pushing up ever so slightly, you can hear it popping quite a bit. And it's interesting, as this went up, you could hear it even more distinct. You can get away with putting a glide, obviously, jumping between the octaves as well, which gives a very, very interesting effect. Obviously, you go too high, and I think it doesn't sound right, but you get it just right, and you can get yourself a nice sound going. Very simple bass, very simple stuff what we're doing with the gators, just using a pulse from the storing forward with a little bit of swing on it. We're flip-flopping, as I say, between the octaves there, and we're also flip-flopping but then using the pan and moving the pan around as well. But by using, as I said before, using different gators, different patterns for controlling these, you can get some very, very interesting kind of shapes and sizes, and even just changing the threshold on these. So you could actually use the same patterns, but hey, let's change the threshold, and again, it will make it start sounding. And with this, obviously, because we're making it longer between panning, we could probably use a longer glide. So I'm going to end up doing this for hours and hours and hours. So I am going to leave it at that. But that's just basically it. So we've got ourselves a nice simple bass sound, as I say, and by making good use of the flip-flop counters, we can get away with things. As I said, you didn't actually have to bring the pitch straight into A. You could have just pumped it into there, and you could have pumped your voltage on and off. I tend to wire it up this way because I tend to doing other things as well. So that's why I wired it that particular way. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.